Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Raygque. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. It's Wake Up with Raygque. Glad y'all are here, glad y'all are in the building. Show brought to you by our dope partners, Prize Picks, man. Y'all see them at the bottom. Shout out to Prize Picks. Prize Picks, go to the link in the description. Use the promo code WAKEUP. They match you dollar for dollar. First-time depositors up to $100. Free money, baby. You put in 100, they match you 100. You can get in on the goodness, man. We have been fire. Jay, how you doing this morning? The Discord is blowing up with winning tickets left and right, building that bankroll for the NFL, man. It's been good. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Woke up a little bit late today, so I'm happy it's the film grade day. It's all about you and your film grades, the people constantly. Ray, we need more film sessions. We need you to talk about tape. We need you to grind that tape. This is what it's all about, man. This is what they've been asking for. We're doing top 5 wide receivers, top 5 running backs. And if you want the rest of these film grades, patreon.com/prospect talk. Wow.
Man,
I went with the all
that
gas.
You were smooth.
I went with the all gas.
Part. Yeah, you went with the old joint. All gas is what you got to do with Pristine Auction. So pristineauction.com/register. We checked it out. Like if you registered on Pristine Auction, you have a really good chance to win that Jonathan Taylor helmet because there haven't been a lot of I don't know why. Jay, I think people thought I was bullshitting, but signed JT full size Indianapolis Colts helmet right there. I didn't sign. I haven't even touched the matte black part of it. I don't want to get anything on there. All you got to do to be entered in the contest to win that is just register with the promo code ALLGAS. That's all you got to do. You don't have to buy anything. Just register, right? We want you to get something. They give you $10 off when you register. But all you got to do is register and you get entry into the JT helmet giveaway. I got the box right here. It's got the authentication thing, so it's really JT's signature. All you got to do is register. I don't know why people haven't done it. If you want to, the link is in the description. But, Jay, any news that dropped? I saw Cliff Kingsbury got extended in Arizona. The Giants want to trade Saquon Barkley. The Eagles have doubled down on Jalen Hurts. All kind of rumor mill floating around at the combine, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of GMs, and then we had some wide receivers take the podium yesterday. So like you mentioned, Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Klein, both got extended, I believe, till 2027, which was a bit of a surprise. A lot of people thought that, especially for Cliff Kingsbury, this would be a prove-it year for him in 2022. But apparently, from some inside sources, people you talk to, this is all part of the plan. They weren't expecting to be this good this year, but 2022 is really the make or break year. One of the things, I don't know if we ever touched on it or not, but Justin Ross not participating. I think we talked about that later in the day. That was confirmed. David Bell. So this is really interesting for me. David Bell was talking about who he models his game after. He's talking about his route running is apparently Keenan Allen, his contested catch ability is Allen Robinson, and his explosiveness is Amari Cooper. And no disrespect to David Bell, but I think that's a ceiling comp for him in pretty much every single area. But interesting to see who we talked about. And then the other one that I wanted to mention to you and people on the show, Treylon Burks talked about watching a lot of A.J. Brown tape, and he also loves to watch Deebo Samuel. So when we talked about Treylon Burks, we said, you were kind of on Deebo Samuel, and then I brought up A.J. Brown because I think he's more of the X-receiver version of Deebo Samuel. And it's crazy to think that, this is what kind of we see on tape. Apparently, Treylon tends to agree, right? And then Trey McBride also met with the Giants after Kyle Rudolph got released with Devontae Booker. So that's maybe a small little fit. He met with Dayball yesterday, so we'll see kind of if Trey McBride could be a good fit in New York. I thought that'd be a little bit interesting from a standpoint.
One of the things that I found interesting, like just watching those combine interviews of the players, is Treylon Burks looked all business, man. I don't think I saw him smile one time. He's up there and he's just like, I'm doing everything. I'm ready to do it all. I could play inside, outside. They asked him what his best positional lineup is. He's like, outside. Put me outside. Like, He just looked all business, man. I honestly, I saw a bunch of Treylon Burks pictures. None of them, had a smile on his face. Dude looked serious, ready to go. And tonight we do get some on-field testing, so this is going to be a good day. What do we have? Wide receivers, running backs, offensive line?
Quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends tonight. O-line and running backs are tomorrow.
Okay. O-line and running backs tomorrow. Okay, so we get some good stuff. No Malik Willis. I think we're going to trend towards this way, man. You know, we saw Lamar Jackson opt out of the 40. Kyler Murray never ran a 40. I just think the guys that are like really fast, they're probably not going to do it. There's no upside to doing it at the combine because if Malik ran a 4.5, it only hurts him, right? Even though we know 4.5 is still really fast, there's no benefit to him doing it in that kind of environment. He's going to do it at his pro day apparently, but it wouldn't shock me even if come pro day time, he's like, look, you see the tape, I'm fast enough. I'm not going to run a 40-yard dash time. So I think we may be trending towards this way with some players, but ultimately the combine is back. So tonight is going to be really interesting. The sucky part is, man, the last like on-field drills, and I believe it's the wide receivers, they don't leave the field until 11 p.m., which is crazy, right? So They talked about this a couple of years ago. Like you're doing all this shit throughout the entire day, and then you're on field like way late in the evening. How much energy is exhausted at that point? I don't know, man. I mean, just think about you. If you try to go get a workout in super late, maybe for some people it works out, but you probably got a little more energy earlier in the afternoon or early morning to get you a good workout in, opposed to putting everything on wax at, late at night. So yes, the running events happen before 11 p.m., but still, it's a long day, exhausting interview process for these guys. So I'm sure we'll all be tapped in. No show tomorrow, so we will recap everything that happened at the combine, height, weight, all that stuff. Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be a lot of the show. Then we're going to do a updated rookie mock to see how much the combine has influenced the community, right? For me, and this is a good segue into my film grades, a lot of stuff isn't going to change at this point for me. And this is why I wanted to do this, because normally a lot of people that you guys follow, I'm not naive enough to think I'm the only football mind fantasy analyst that you guys listen to. I appreciate y'all tapping in every single morning, rocking with me and Jay. Like, we love it, right? We love to entertain. We love to provide some actionable content, but I'm not naive enough to think that you don't outsource information from other people, as you should. You should be listening to Matt Kelly. You should be tapping into the PFF stuff that they have going on and Dynasty Nerds and whatever your resource is, right? You should be tapping into multiple content creators to get as much information as possible. But a lot of times people are like, you get on Twitter, you get on social media, you get on a website, and it's like, I got this guy wide receiver 1 or RB1 or RB2, but there's never a how they got there. There's never a why. There's never anything that sort of explains how you arrived at the conclusion that you did. And I, too, was at one point doing that, right? Like, here go my top 10 running backs, here go my top 20. And it's like, well, how the hell did you get there? Are you just pulling shit out of the sky and saying this is what I like? How did you get to that process? So this year, what I wanted to do, and I talked about it with my patrons very, very in depth, is I wanted to provide some I guess a process to how I get to where I got to, right? And I'm not a data guy. I don't crunch numbers. I just watch the tape. That's what I do. I just watch the film, and I have broken down all the important, or what I believe to be important, attributes for the wide receiver and running back position and put a weight to those categories, right? So a lot of people say route running is so important. Well, we talked about it on the show. When inside that route does a wide receiver win? Do they win off the line of scrimmage? Do they win inside the route phase, or do they win at the catch point? So I put weighted category scores on each one of those departments. How are their hands? How's their play speed? Do they have downfield ability to hit those home run plays like a Jamar Chase down the field? Do they have that yak ability to pick up yards after the catch like an A.J. Brown or a Deebo Samuel? Like, I've broken everything down and put a percentage weight on each one of those categories. And when I sit down to do this, and you got y'all, if y'all think I'm bullshitting, ask anybody that subscribes to patreon.com/prospect talk. It takes a while to do this, right? You can't grade wide receivers. Honestly, I don't care who y'all are listening to. If somebody's spitting out wide receiver film grades or tape scores and they don't have access to all 22 film, don't even listen to it because it's absolutely impossible to see what the hell the wide receiver is doing off the broadcast film. You can't, you see the catch point, and unless they do a replay, you have no clue. So it takes some time to work through these. So I've completed my running back film scores, which I talked about on here a little bit, and I'm only done with like 14 or 15 of the wide receivers. But I think of the wide receivers that I graded, I have a very good idea that top 12 is going to be the top 12. And here's the thing. Nothing is going to change these film scores. Nothing that happens at the combine, nothing that happens at a pro day. These are not my final rankings, but I will not adjust the film grades because I want to see how good I am at it, right? So we've got our data guy that's going to take those film grades at the end of the fantasy season, put it on some pie chart, some bar graph thing with fantasy success, and just see, just based on the tape, how accurate was Ray with these rankings. Now, these will not be my final rankings. The one thing that I think is the biggest deciding factor for fantasy success, right? If you don't listen to anybody, if you don't have any data, if you don't have any film, if you just drafted based on draft capital alone, your hit rate is probably going to be in the green more than it is in the red, right? You're going to have more hits off of draft capital than anything else. And that's not to say that's the a whole serve sort of theory, but more times than not, the NFL tells you how they feel about these players. And yes, they get stuff wrong. Players go in the 4th, 5th, 6th round all the time. But draft capital will be the one thing that influences these rankings, right? And these still won't change, but I'll just make another column and adjust based on draft capital. So let's go ahead and get into it. Appreciate you, Gary. It's you don't want to rush it. You don't want to cheapen the product and BS people and just throw shit out there. And some of these rankings y'all may disagree with or you may agree with. Like, just know that it took time to work through all of these, and we will see, right? I'm not saying that my stuff is the end all be all, but I just want to be transparent with my process moving forward. I want to be transparent with how I do things and what I'm telling you guys to consume. So let's start with the running back position, right? So let's just talk about the explanation of the numbers that you see, because you might see a 60 or a 70 and be like, damn, that's a D or a C, when in reality, if you see 70 above, that's pretty damn good, right? If you see 70 and above for any of these players, that's pretty good. So 85 plus, just for like completeness, right? I went back and did this for Jonathan Taylor. He scored an 86, all right? And that's elite, top 3 at position, right? So if you see 85 and above, that's great. That is, you're not, I'll just bury the lead. You're not going to see any 85s. You're not going to see any 80s to 85s. But if a player scores 80 to 85, that's a high-end RB1 to mid-range RB1. So you're talking about RBs, RB6, 7, 8, you know what I mean, in that top range. 75 through 79.999, that's an RB1, low-end RB1, high-end RB2, just based off the film. And again, this can and will change based off draft capital, right? Isaiah Spiller gets picked in the 4th round. Breece Hall is the 2nd-round pick. Breece Hall is the undisputed running back 1 in this class. And he may be that for some of you right now. 70 to 74.99, mid-range RB2, probably more of a high-end RB3, which is fine. 65 to 69.9, low-end RB3, RB4 with upside. And then if you see 60 to 64.99, that's an average backup. They've got some upside. If they become a starter at some point in time, you probably want to sell them, all right? So let's just go through my RB5 based on the film in this class, and that is Arizona State running back Rachaad White, graded out as a 68.85. Off the film, Rachaad White is the RB5 in this class. And I like Rachaad White a lot, right? Rachaad White, nice player, smooth player. Really like what he brings to the table. And I think he's going to test really well today, Rachaad White, that is. You see him at Arizona State. He can catch the ball, JUCO transfer. I like the player a lot. It's going to be interesting to see what his draft capital is. Joe, I got you. Joe's like, what's a 68 again? I got you. I'll go back to it. But we're going to see how he tests today on Friday at the Combine. But I like Rachaad White a lot. The skill set. I don't think he's a day one starting running back in the NFL. I think he's, RB3, flex play, backup running back that could get on the field. Think Ramondre Stevenson, right? think Ramondre Stevenson, when he came into the New England Patriots, backup running back, got on the field when given opportunity, he was really good. And Joe, for optional completeness, low in RB3, RB4 with upside out the gate, just based off the tape. Draft capital will influence this at some point, right? So he's right outside of that 70 range. So I like Rachaad White, but listen, maybe I'm a tough grader. Maybe I'm a hard grader. But when I'm looking at the gold standard at these positions, and if you're sub to the Patreon, like, you could see every category you can go through, and we don't have enough time to go through each box. But Rachaad White, I like him, but he's not in that, immediate RB3, RB2 range for me. My running back 4 in the class, Kenneth Walker, 71.10 RB4 based on the film. And the only reason Kenneth Walker, is a 71 in this class, and I went through and jigged like 2 categories: receiving versatility and just the hands, right? Watching him run routes out of the backfield. If I gave him 2 or 3 more points in each one of those 2 categories, that's it. He'd be right behind Spiller and Hall, right behind those guys. But the fact of the matter is, we have not seen Kenneth Walker do those things in college. That's not to say that he cannot do them. We just have not seen him do it. I think he's going to look really good today, show those hands at the combine, and we'll see, right? So you're looking at it, 71.1. When I went back and did this with the other running backs in the class, right? Like the other running backs into the class, Javonte Williams, higher grade. Najee Harris, higher grade. Travis Etienne, higher grade. DeAndre Swift, high. And I think that's appropriate. I would take Javonte. I would take Najee. I would take Etienne. Don't even get me started with 2020 over a lot of these running backs in 2022, right? They're still going to have value. I like Kenneth Walker, but there's no way that I was going to do a grade where he was in the same category as Javonte Williams, the same category as DeAndre Swift. And I just look at these things for what they are. There it is. Kenneth Walker, like him. I think he's going to get the draft capital to matter. Is he going to be an elite running back in this league? I don't know. Right now, based on the film, mid-range RB2 to high-end RB3, and all of these guys have upside. I put with upside on the bottom, but all of them have upside, right? It's not the end-all, be-all. All right, at RB3 in the class, Kyren Williams, a hair above Kenneth Walker, and majority of Kyren Williams' grade came from his physicality, his power, and the receiving versatility. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, kind of dual threat running back in this class. Tonight's going to be very big, or tomorrow's going to be very big for Kyren Williams. We have to see if Kyren Williams is actually 5'9", 5'8", 200 pounds. It's going to be huge for Kyren. If Kyren is a little dude, if Kyren is 5'7", 195 pounds, I don't care what the film tells me, he's going to move down, right? But you see what he did in college. Again, best pass-catching running back in this class, in my opinion, better than James Cook. He's got some Austin Eckler in his game. If all things break well, he's going to hit the field early and often because of that the pass-blocking prowess. I like Kyren Williams a lot, but it's going to be big for him, no pun intended, the type of size that Kyren Williams has. He cannot be 5'7", 195. That's just not going to cut it. So for me, all eyes are on Kyren Williams here in this here at the combine. All right, top 2 guys. Let's go with number 2. And honestly, y'all, it's coin flip. And when you see it, it's coin flip. If you don't like it, then it's coin flip. By far, all the other running backs, 71s. Breece Hall, 75.15. And one more time, 75.1, low-end RB1 out the gate for a Breece Hall for me. I think he's an incredible running back. That every time I turn on Breece Hall film, it is very difficult when you just watch him work, when you watch him play. It's very difficult to have any running back ahead of him. It's hard, man. He's so good. He's so good. He was so dominant for so long. The size, I think he's got great elusiveness. He's patient, man. He's patient. People say he doesn't have a ton of speed. I think he's fast enough. I think he's more than fast enough. He ain't Chris Johnson. You're not going to confuse him for that. But it's hard to argue 3 years of solid 3 years of solid production, 2 years of great production. His final 2 years at Iowa State. I call him B-button Breece. He's got a nasty spin move. He just knows how to set defenders up, man. He just knows how to set look at this. Look at this. He just knows how to set people up. Incredible running back prospect. In this class, I know it's not a lot to be inspired about, but Breece Hall, I think, is somebody you should get excited about. He's really good. And then remember, Breece Hall, 75.15, 75.28, barely. Isaiah Spiller barely edges out Breece Hall for the film as my top guy, right? And it's what he can do. He did it in the SEC. He was productive, 1,000 straight total yards for 3 straight seasons in the SEC. I'm all in on Isaiah Spiller if he gets the draft capital. If he doesn't get the draft capital, then we reevaluate. But I saw him dominate the SEC for 3 years. You could give me all the Devon Achane stuff you want. I don't care where anybody else has these guys. I love everybody's work. I appreciate everybody's stuff. But when it comes to just talking about ballers and looking at something and understanding the things that actually matter for football, I trust what I see in my process over a lot of people out there, especially a lot of just content creators. If the big time analysts, the Daniel Jeremiahs and such who do this 24/7, Dane Brugler tell me otherwise, if the NFL tells me otherwise, we reevaluate. But that's my process, right? I'm not out there just throwing out numbers and not telling you how I got there. I am showing you every category that I find important. I list it out for you, and I'm not going to change it, right? So whether I'm right or wrong, there's no deleting tweets. There's no deleting processes. My shit is out there for all of y'all to tap into and see. Jay, now that we went through the running backs, what are your thoughts, man?
I think that you nailed a lot of it. And for people who don't really see the correlation here, it's the importance of the passing game, right? If you're just grading running backs for, potential to the NFL, that's fine, and that will be graded a certain way. But for fantasy purposes, we got to have that receiving ability because we know that that's a more fruitful fantasy path than it is just running the ball. And that's the big discrepancy with Kenneth Walker, right? And one of the reasons why, we've talked about a lot, and especially for me, one of the guys that I'm really in on this year is Tyler Algier. But you have Rachaad White higher than him, and you talked about you have Bam Knight at 6 in your film grades. But then Tyler Algier is probably just below that. And part of the reason why, again, is because he doesn't have the receiving prowess of some of the guys you have near him. And I completely understand that because at the end of the day, those first and second down bruisers, they're never really going to get it done unless they're scoring a ton of touchdowns. We're talking about guys who have a lot of upside. But where I'm with you is Kenneth Walker is that good of a runner that he deserves to have a score that high. And if he does have the receiving prowess, he has that upside to be a tier 1 guy up there with Spiller, up there with Hall. I'm not entirely surprised you had Spiller over Hall because I know what you like, but I am surprised that the receiving prowess of Hall didn't push him just above Spiller. I know when you graded them, you said they were very close and closer than you expected, but I did expect Hall to come in a little bit higher than Spiller overall. So I don't know if you want to touch on that or you want to kind of move towards the wide receivers.
His hands, I think they are dead even. If you look at that category with just being able to catch the ball, I think they're dead even. I think where Spiller, without me looking at it, where Spiller edged him out, you know what? I'll look at it, is the receiving, and I call it versatility. It's how they're used. So receiving versatility for Isaiah Spiller, he was an 8 in that department. Breece Hall was a 6. If I change that, let's just say I give Breece Hall a 7 in that category, and I give him that he's 1 point in that. He's 75.75. If I give Breece Hall an 8, if I give him tied with Isaiah Spiller, he's run away. He's 76.35. Literally, the only thing that kept Breece Hall underneath Isaiah Spiller is the receiving versatility, which means where they line up on the field. I saw Isaiah Spiller at X. I've seen him in the slot. I've seen him spaced out in the receiving game more than Breece Hall was spaced out in Iowa State. So that does not mean Breece cannot do it. That does not mean he's incapable of doing it. I am just grading off of the 9 games that I watched for each of these running backs, equal 9 games. I saw Texas A&M utilize Isaiah Spiller in the receiving department more creatively than Iowa State used Breece Hall. That is it. I give Breece Hall, I probably can, honestly, Jay, I'm not even going to give him a point. let me take his receiving versatility to 6.5, just a half a point. He's RB1.
Yeah, he 75.45. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, that's the only thing that kept Breece Hall there. So, honestly, if you want to say Ray, he can do that, if you tell me Ray can do that, then Breece Hall's RB1, and I wouldn't argue it. J-Wack, shout out to J-Wack. Dynasty nerds, they do the same thing. I'm all about showing love to dope content creators. Dynasty nerds is the same shit. They have a nerd score that they put out, and it's based solely on the film. And shout out to them because I got the idea from them. They were transparent with their process, right? They're like, yo, this is how we got here, and they put it out there. So if you want to compare mine with other film industry peoples who actually put their work out there, who are transparent, who aren't just saying, Isaiah Spiller's RB9. How? I just think he's RB9. We're putting that shit out there on wax for everybody to see, poke into, agree, disagree, but you can't say we're not transparent with it, and these will not change. So I appreciate the love. If you want to see the rest of the 30 running backs that I have graded and it gets god-awful after a certain point, then patreon.com/prospect talk. $7 a month. Check it out, get it, and you'll see how it is. But let's move to the wide receivers. Finish this up. Wide receiver grades. Oh, that's running back. Sorry. Wide receivers are much like the running backs as far as the scale. Let me get the scale up for the receivers. Here we go. There we go. So here we go again. 85 plus. Elite, top 3 at the position. And just for optional completeness, Jamar Chase was an 84.8. So, I mean, he didn't even get like the 85, but clearly he's an elite wide receiver, clearly, right? 80 to 85, high-end wide receiver 1 to mid-range wide receiver 1, 75 to 79.9, low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, 70 to 74.9, mid-range wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, 65 to 69.99, low-end wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 4 with upside, and then 60 to 64.99, average backup with some upside. Those are the wide receiver explanations. I probably should. You know what I'm going to do? No, I can't do it. I was going to just minimize this. So I even have to go back and look at what the hell they mean sometimes. But let's go. Let's start with wide receiver 5 in the class for me. Georgia, wide receiver George Pickens, 73.33. Listen, man, I know he didn't play this year. So you got to go back. Got to go back to 2020. Got to look at some 2019 tape. And I don't like going all the way back to their freshman seasons because they just improved so much from their freshman year to the sophomore year, from the sophomore year to the junior year. But George Pickens, you go back to last season, not this past season, but the season before, it's incredible. I mean, he's that good. Find me an area in George Pickens' game where it just doesn't look like it's going to translate. He's that freaking good, man. Just a bully, scored really high in the physicality department, all phases of the route. He was very good. His catch radius was extremely high. You see some of these grabs. The catch radius for the wide receiver is just ridiculous, right? And I think I'll actually go through some of that real quick so you guys can know my top 3 attributes for the wide receiver that I look for when I'm scouting these guys as we watch through George Pickens. With the wide receivers, the 3 things that I find most important: the hands, downfield ability, the separation, line of scrimmage, catch point, route phase, yak, and play speed. Those are my most important attributes for the wide receiver position. George Pickens checks in at wide receiver 5 based on the film. We'll see how he does at the combine. He said he's going to run 4.3. If GP runs 4.3, is tonight? I mean,
tonight. We'll see.
He's about to skyrocket. If he runs 4.3, it's about to be lights out for GP. He's going to be a first-round pick if he runs 4.3 with his catch radius, with his play speed, and he's a dog in the run-blocking game. A dog. I mean, he's putting people on their ass week after week outside. George Pickens, super dope. Wide receiver 4, based on the film, Garrett Wilson, 75.5. Good. Garrett Wilson, very, very good. Very good. Line of scrimmage separation, one of the highest in the class. Gave him an 8.5 in that category. Route phase separation, 8. Yak, 8. Play speed, a little bit lower than some of the others. Body control, highest body control score in the class at a 9.5 for Garrett Wilson. Just really, really, really good wide receiver prospect. They got his 40-yard dash kind of low. I don't think he's going to run a 4.4, and I also do not care. The body control, how good he is off the line, in phase, and at the catch point. You see it right here. He's incredible. To be 6'1", 185, 190, the catch radius is phenomenal. His contested catch ability is good. And then he's just a dog off the line of scrimmage. Garrett Wilson, I think he's a player that's going to be good. And he's going to be damn good for a long time. First-round pick lock, in my opinion. Listen, he's nasty. G-Dub, wide receiver 4, based on the film. And you just see some of this right now. what team would I love to see him with? Give him to Justin Herbert. Look at that shit, man. Look at that. Just give him to Justin Herbert. Let him have some fun with Herbs. Garrett Wilson is an absolute dog. Love him. Wide receiver 3, based on the film in this class. And Jay, please be monitoring the comments. I hear him popping off. J-Mo, 76.20. Listen, man. J-Wax said it. He was like, yo, he's my wide receiver. I don't know if he's still his wide receiver 1, but man, downfield ability, 9.5. Line of scrimmage separation, an 8 in that department. Yak, 9. You give him an inch, he's taking a foot every time. Play speed. Gold standard in my model for play speed is Tyreek Hill. Jameson Williams, 9.5 play speed. Even with a torn ACL, Jameson Williams is still being regarded as a first-round pick. And I'm seeing a lot of smoke about J-Mo to the Buffalo Bills. He's great, man. Alabama, just every year, Waddle and Smith and even they have these wide receivers with this draft capital. Jameson Williams is so much more complete than a downfield threat. Like, he is good after the catch. He's good off the line of scrimmage. He's got the home run type ability that you're looking for to score those big plays in fantasy football. Deceleration, acceleration. It's just incredible, man. Look at this. You just give outrunning angle. Jay, I love J-Mo. I love him. I want J-Mo. He's that damn good, dude. I'm just watching that, and I just get excited. Jameson Williams is dope. And the top 2 wide receivers in the class for me, because I want to save some time for comments. I talked about this dude for a long time. Let me take a sip of Topo.
You already told everybody yesterday. There's no point of burying the lead here.
Oh, I'm creating fake drama? All right, fake drama, Ray. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Treylon Burks, wide receiver 2. Talked about him for a long time. Love him. He's still my guy. I was talking about Treylon 2 years ago. Me. GQ was. But he's my wide receiver 2 based on the film. 76.95. You heard Treylon talk about he models his game after A.J. Brown, after Deebo Samuel. He's 6'3". He said his ideal playing weight is 225, 228. He's probably going to run 4.4 in the 40-yard dash, maybe sub 4.4. The yak is there. Body control, contested catch ability, play speed is great, size is great, hands are great, everything is great. He hunts hogs with a knife. It's confirmed. It's not 5XL gloves, it's 4XL. He's got big hands. Hit 22 miles per hour on that run that we're seeing right there. There goes the contested grabs. He's just good, man. He's just good. He's a great wide receiver. He's fantastic. If he were in last year's class, he'd be wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase. If we did this, wide receiver 3 behind Jamar Chase. He's that good. He'd be ahead of Devontae Smith. I've had him graded ahead of Jalen Waddle. He'd be right behind my wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 in this class, and the wide receiver 1 last year, which was Treylon, which was, God damn it, Jamar Chase. God, Ray, I'm just looking at Treylon. I'm just stuck to him. But yes, my wide receiver 1 in 2021, based off the film, a whole category a little bit higher than J-Mo and Treylon, is Drake London out of USC at a 77.05. I think he's much better off the line of scrimmage than people give him credit for, and I even scored him low there, right? I gave him a 6.5 in that category, but catch point separation, 8.5, yak ability, 8, body control, 8, catch radius, 9, contested catch in the red zone, 10, physicality, 8.5, catch in traffic, 8, body control, 8. I mean, you got some 6.5s. Route phase separation, 6.5. Lower than Treylon, lower than Garrett Wilson, lower than Sky Moore. I mean, he's one of the lowest in his route phase separation, and also one of the lowest off the line of scrimmage at a 6.5, right? I've got Pickens ahead of him, Sky Moore ahead of him, David Bell, Justin Ross, Christian Watson. But where he's so good at is his downfield ability, his play speed, hands a 7. So there's he didn't score great across the board, but the areas that matter in my grading system, he was fantastic. And I think Drake London is the best wide receiver prospect in this class. I think he's going to translate very well at the NFL level. He's going to get the draft capital. He's close to 100%. He's going to work out at his pro day. Just a player this big that's this fluid, that has this much control, that can do stuff like that off the line of scrimmage. And let's not forget, he's only been full-time focused on football for 2 seasons now, as he was he played basketball through high school. Very good high school basketball player, played on the USC Trojans collegiate basketball team for 2 years, and he's incredibly young. He's incredibly young. His catch point separation is good. He's physical, and he produced with other NFL talent on his team. Michael Pittman Jr., Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, my wide receiver 1, based on the film in this class. I love him. Top 3 guys, Treylon, J-Mo, and Drake London, my wide receiver 1 in this 2021 NFL draft class. Jay, those are the film grades. I know the comments are going nuts. Hit me with it, baby.
So one of the big questions that people were asking about in regards to Pickens in particular was, how much do you factor injury into some of these rankings, right? Like, does it factor at all? How does it impact your ranking? Like you're talking about, it's hard for Pickens because he didn't play this year. And another question, just to kind of tie them together, was, do you ever watch 2023 guys and grade them and say, hey, they're going to be better than 2022? And how would you kind of approach that process?
Nah, just none of that. I don't factor in any of the outside stuff. Injury, projected times, like even Justin Ross. I heard all these medical concerns. We know he had, the spinal injury. We know all of that stuff. None of that factored into where I have Justin Ross. And I have Justin Ross a lot higher than, in my mind, where I'd feel comfortable taking him. Like I heard he had a Jones fracture injury.
Yeah,
that
Jones
kept
fracture.
him out. So that on top of a spinal injury, that's not good, right? But he's comfortably inside my top 10 wide receivers. Just, I'm grading it on the film. And here's where I think this tool is useful. We can debate RB1 through RB5, right? But for most people, outside of BDGE, apparently, Isaiah Spiller is going to be inside the top 5 of your running backs. So let draft capital and landing spot shape that out for you, right? Like, there's no point. I think it's me and Andy Holloway from the Fantasy Footballers talked about this on Twitter yesterday. I think it's a wasteful exercise for 2 people to just complain about Spiller versus Hall. 1-2, Spiller versus Hall. Spiller versus Walker, 1-3. Like, let draft capital separate that. Where I think this tool is extremely useful is I'm only grading these guys based on what they can do on the field. So when you're in the 2nd and 3rd round of your rookie drafts and you're trying to figure out who do I take a shot on, it's only grading them based on their skill set on the field. And if they get an opportunity, can they produce if said player gets the opportunity? Do I grade them against 2023? No. But what I will assume will happen is when I'm looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba, just based on where I had Drake London, a 6.5 in his route phase separation, Jackson Smith and Jigba will be higher. His play speed, Jackson Smith and Jigba will grade out well. Like what I think will happen, and we'll see. I can't give you, it's my first year doing this, so I can't tell you historically what's happened, but I grade every one of these guys with an open, I don't go in with a bias saying, I don't like Justin Ross, so I'm going to make sure Justin Ross is outside my top 10. I love Treylon, so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure Treylon's one. I'm just taking time. I watch it, step away, come back. What I think will happen is next year, some of those players are just going to grade out higher. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, Smith and Jigba will probably grade out higher than Burks and Drake London. And if that's the case, then awesome, right? Will Jordan Addison grade out that high? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll be able to track it. It's only my first year doing this, but I just wanted to be transparent with the people on that. So, overall takeaway, like 65 and above, pretty good. Nobody is in the 80s, so don't worry about that. This is not an ABCD scale. No one's in the 80s. No one crested 70, 78, like Drake London the highest at a 77 because of the categories that matter. And maybe next year, some of the shit that I think matters more, I go refine that and bump some weight down, move some weight up. We'll continue to refine the model, the process. But there it is. Joe, I'm with you. I'm excited football is here. I think we're all excited football is here. This is just one piece of your puzzle, right? Don't just... This is what GQ said, so this is what it is. It's one piece of the puzzle. The big thing is I want to be transparent with y'all and, at least put some rationale behind why the hell I got to where I got instead of, and you will see it. What I will ask you to do, challenge some of your favorite content creators. Tell them to show they work. They putting out rankings. Here's my top 20. How'd you get there? How did you arrive at that? Like, that's a fair question. You should ask every analyst that question. How did you get there? You know, Matt Kelly and Player Profile can tell you how they got there. They got a system, right? They got breakout finder. They can tell you how they got there. PFF, whether you like them or not, they can tell you how they got there. All these other cats y'all sub to, all these other Patreons y'all giving money to, tell these people to show you how they got there, because that's what we doing. We showing you how we got there, whether you like it or not. At least you can say, damn it, at least he showed his work. And I appreciate y'all tapping in. You know what I'm saying? Combine tonight. Jay, one more time since we got people in here. Sign JT helmet. Look, Matt Black, I'm not even touching it. I want to put it on, but I'm not going to do it. Sign JT helmet. All you got to do is register. Pristine auction. That's all you got to do is register. Use the code ALLGAS. You get entry. The promo ends next week. I will be picking a winner. We'll do it live on here. You want to support the content we're doing, patreon.com/prospect talk. Sub to the podcast, the YouTube channel, Prize Picks Wake Up. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Go have some fun. I will not be making any Jalen Raygque type videos this year during the draft season. I'm going to sit my ass down, enjoy it. There's still video floating around out there with your boy that will never go away, but we love you. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great weekend, and tap y'all asses back in on Monday morning so we can talk about everything that went down. Y'all be easy. I'm out. Peace.